debate for tonight, live here from Nile TV International. I'm Thabrt and I have the pleasure of your company for the coming hour. We will be discussing more about that important summit meeting that is being held in the United States, the Egyptian-American summit that has just begun on Thursday between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and U.S. President Barack Obama. During the meeting, President Obama described the long-standing relationship between the United States and Egypt as a cornerstone of American security policy in the region. Obama and President al-Sisi met in New York on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly meetings. And this is considered to be the first face-to-face meeting between both presidents, between President Obama and President al-Sisi. Obama says that they plan to discuss a range of issues, security issues, including the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, Libya, Daesh terrorist organization. And the presidential spokesman, Ambassador Ala Yusuf, had said that this meeting is aimed mainly at delivering a message to President Obama about the real situation since June 30th revolution, and also to clarify any sort of misunderstanding that has happened during this period. Yusuf also said that U.S. President Obama's demand to meet President al-Sisi in New York for an hour is considered to be a positive step, adding that the meeting is also a chance to answer any sort of questions about the U.S. claims concerning the protest law and also the current trials of the Brotherhood terrorist organization. Yusuf noted that President Obama usually did not hold any meetings on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. So we'll be talking more about the Egyptian-American summit and also tackling more concerning the comments that came highlighting President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's address before the UN General Assembly, the reading, and it was quite significant how the president emphasized how Egyptians made history twice in the recent years, revolting against corruption and claiming the right to social justice and refusing to surrender to a regime that has put narrow interests before the interests of the people. The president also in his speech had laid plans for New Egypt, drawing the features before the international community about New Egypt, how it should look, saying it will be a state that will not be held back by terrorism that thinks it can conquer or repress the nation. This will not happen. He said that New Egypt respects the rule of the law and also guarantees freedom of opinion for all, and is determined to achieve a sense of prosperity for all people, laying down the prospects of Egypt's foreign policy also in his speech, and how our regional and continental role is expanding to protect peace, security and stability. So we'll be discussing more about the wrap-up of President al-Sisi's visit to New York, culminating in the Egyptian-American summit that already begun on Thursday between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and U.S. President Barack Obama. And also we will be highlighting more the speech of the president yesterday. How far was such a gathering an important chance in order to introduce and emphasize New Egypt and the new Egyptian path. So let's watch the report highlighting the president's speech, and we will be back for further discussion on the daily debate for tonight. Stay with us, don't go away.
In his speech to the United Nations on Wednesday, Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said that the world has begun to understand the reality of extremism that Egyptians revolted against last year. He said that the world has started to grasp the reality and understand why Egyptians revolted. The beginning of his speech, al-Sisi saluted U.S. officials and also Egyptian expats who came from different cities to the UN headquarters to say that a new Egypt is coming. He said that since his election last June, he and other Egyptians have been working to build a civil democratic state by following the roadmap announced last year by different political forces. He also stressed the need for an inclusive state that respects the law, the judiciary and human rights. Sisi said that Egypt faced real threats during last year's politically polarized atmosphere from a group that uses terrorism in the name of religion. Sisi said that this group in particular has been spreading false teachings in Egypt since the 1920s while depending on violence and terrorism. The president said that since being elected, he has been working with Egyptians to build a state that enforces the rule of law while respecting rights, duties, and freedom of expression and belief. Concerning the region, El-Sisi said that there must be decisive confrontation to the extremism in Libya, Iraq, and Syria. He also stressed Egypt's support for the will of Syrians, Libyans, Iraqis, and Palestinians. El-Sisi suggested two main points for regional peace. First, enforcing the principle of citizenship in all Middle East countries, in which all citizens reach a consensus with their country and understand their rights and duties. Second, a decisive confrontation against all figures of extremism, such as Daesh groups in Iraq and Syria. He also said that Palestinian issue is at the top of Egypt's agenda to enforce peace and stop any bloodshed. Near the end of his speech, he said that he was looking forward to Egypt gaining non-permanent membership of the UN Security Council in 2016.
A new Suez Canal. A national project. Fully financed and implemented by the Egyptians.
لازم هنتحرك ونتحرك بقوة عشان نخرج من دائرة الفقر اللي احنا موجودين فيها. احنا بنسابق الزمن، احنا عايزين نبني بلدنا، عايزين يبقى في امل حقيقي، مش هنبيع وهم للناس لان احنا متأخرين قوي. طب والله العظيم احنا مستعدين نبيع نفسينا عشان خاطر مصر. التخطيط اللي كان معمول قبل كده كان يتصور ان احنا ممكن نتكلم على حاجه على امتداد القناه بالكامل، واحنا كان لينا في الدفاع وقتها، انا بقول انا كنت مسؤول عن ده وقلت ان ده هيبقى ضد الامن القومي المصري. في المشروعات اللي هي خاصه بالقناه وحفر القناه وملكيه القناه دي للمصريين. زي دلوقتي لو كان لي عمرنا ان شاء الله نصير لهم العمر نيجي ونفتتح المرحله ديت ونعبر في القناه الجديده ال 35 كيلو.
Welcome to the daily debate for tonight. Always a pleasure to have with us Dr. Yasser Thabrt, our researcher for tonight on the daily debate. Thank you, Dr. Yasser.
Thank you.
And Dr. Karim Hamza, Professor of Political Science. Thank you very much, Dr. Karim, for coming.
Thank you very much.
A very distinguished panel and an important topic and an important day. An Egyptian-American summit has begun on Thursday between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and U.S. President Barack Obama. The significance of the meeting that comes on the sidelines of the 69th session of the UN General Assembly meetings, and it was upon the request of the American administration. Dr. Yasser, how do you see the Americans asking for this meeting in particular on the sidelines of the assembly meetings? So what does it signify? How do you read the meeting?
I think it's an important step to get the U.S.-Egyptian relations on track again after a while of problems surrounding these relations, especially on the political side. And as we have seen in the last few months, there was some tension between both sides regarding several issues, including the future of the democratic process in Egypt and the way U.S. is looking upon the Egyptian role in the region. I think this important meeting will have an impact on the relations between the two countries. The topics discussed will not get out of certain issues and files, including the democratic process in Egypt, the Egyptian role in fighting terrorism, whether in Egypt itself or in the region, especially with the threat and